Buenos dias. I'm Maggie Roll. I teach at Hazard High School, mostly Spanish. And today I'm going to talk about how accessing technology can help personalize learning to improve student engagement. And I'm going to use my notes. Neither teaching nor learning is a one-size-fits-all endeavor. Finding out what motivates each student and what sparks their passion for learning can be an overwhelming task. But student engagement is necessary for learning. Since students have different ability levels and interests, differentiation is key. So my research questions were, how can I improve students' access to technology as a way to personalize their learning so they will engage more in class? And will personalizing student Spanish instruction result in improved student achievement? I can remember one of my first teacher mentors talking about how effective teachers need a wide variety of tools in their toolboxes. And technology certainly is a great tool. Access to the internet has revolutionized teaching. And so with my grant money, I bought 18 Kindle Fire tablets. I chose these primarily because of price. I wanted to try to get a classroom set of devices so that my students could access a wide variety of resources. And I was lucky that I was able to also get some iPads from a teacher who was leaving Hazard. So I do actually have a classroom set of devices now. And when they're all charged and working, all of my students can use them at the same time. So, since my students can use the Kindles to access the internet, we can use a wide variety of resources, like the website Senior Wooly. And I have found that Senior Wooly has definitely helped me personalize students' Spanish instruction. It's engaged students who weren't really very engaged previously. Senior Wooly is a wonderful resource. It has a variety of content, so it engages learners with different interests. It enables me to set proficiency levels. I have the Pro account, so students have their own accounts online to do listening comprehension activities. I can set a proficiency level for the whole class, or if some students are doing better or maybe struggling a little bit, I can set their proficiency levels individually. The students do have to get 80% of the content correct in the online activities to move on to the next level. So it really uses gamification, and like I said, it appeals to a variety of interests. Here you can see some of the extra resources with Senior Wooly. I can also print off packets that help with vocabulary building, that target specific grammar points, and there are also embedded readings, so I can focus on reading comprehension as well. You can see in the middle some of my students. I can track when they're working on the online assignments and when they've completed them. And on the right, you have a couple of the story examples. So there are probably 50 stories at this point, music videos really. And like I said, some are, they're all very catchy. Some are more kind of a horror story theme, and some are animated, some are not. So I have found them to be very engaging. My students like to work together. After using Senior Wooly for a few years, I found my students who have used it have better pronunciation, they have a wider variety of vocabulary, and they really are able to understand and use more advanced grammar. So for any Spanish teachers out there, I highly recommend Senior Wooly, and they are starting to do some French content as well. The tool that really has revolutionized my teaching is Schoology. If I could only have one tool in my toolbox, Schoology is what I would choose. Schoology keeps me organized. It's an online learning management system, so I can post my content online. There's a course calendar that my students can access. They really can work at their own pace. They can see what's coming up. If they're absent, they can check on Schoology and see what they've missed. So it gives them a little more ownership in their coursework. For the shy students too, it's really nice to give them an online discussion board instead of making them constantly have conversations in class. No more lost work. This is such a big thing for me. When I make copies, it feels like half of them end up on the floor. If somebody's absent, I have to look for an extra copy. And so by having the content online, it's just easier for me and the students. Also, I don't get no-name papers turned in. Students submit their work on their own account, so I know whose work it is. There's also a grade book function on Schoology, so students turn in their work online and I can grade it online. There's no more, what's my grade, how do I see my average? They can just go to their account and check that information. And it really creates an online portfolio throughout the year. I chose Schoology originally because students have the ability to create an audio submission so they can record conversations and submit those throughout the year. And at the end of the year, we can look back and listen to the recordings from the beginning of the year, and they can see how much their pronunciation has improved. So I really feel like Schoology has helped my students be more engaged in the content. Having the Kindles are really the means to an end. They're not the end itself. Senior Woolley, Schoology, and other resources have helped my students be more engaged. I feel like all those tools have made me a more effective teacher, and it's made teaching a little easier. So the Kindles might work for your school district, or you might find that another device works better. I struggled a little bit registering the Kindles. I created just a generic kind of username to try to register the Kindles to then be able to download content. But I realized you have to put in your personal payment information, even for free apps like Schoology. So I did a little research, found out about WhisperCast as a way to download apps without putting in your personal information. When I called, they said they didn't have any more accounts available. You had to have an existing account. And I did a little more research, found out my school had an account in the past, and that just was a big issue for me. So again, you may find that a different device is better for you, or you can just put in your personal payment information, download all the apps you need, and then delete that information. So the kids, I think, figured out the Kindles a little bit more quickly than I did. Overall, I'm really grateful to Ari and KVEC that I had the opportunity to get the grant and purchase these devices. I think it has improved student engagement. They perform at a higher level because they do have this consistent access to the devices, to technology, and to the resources that we use in class. So, muchas gracias a todos. And again, I'd love to collaborate with you. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me or talk to me later today.